So let me start by apologizing for camera quality and sound. I am on my laptop once again as I am tired. Today was physical therapy day. For those that don't know, I have osteoarthritis in my left shoulder, and you have to kind of strengthen your muscles in that area or wherever the arthritis is, so different muscles work and it relieve the pain. And yeah, it's really working. My shoulder is feeling a lot better. I am still not 100%. I still can't push my mom's wheelchair or lift heavy objects without possibly doing more harm than good. You know, because besides the osteoarthritis, I've got two bones in that shoulder that basically there's no cartilage between them. There's a little bit. It's very thin, though, like a paper thin, and they'll rub together, or what I call pop. And there was a lot of inflamed tissue, but I've since had a shot in there, which has brought that inflammation down. Thank you, modern medical science. I don't know what I would do without you. Probably be dead. So I know a lot of my new followers are coming from the Hair Buddha, which, yeah, hi. But this video is actually for my TikTok followers. Hopefully I can get them to come at least view the movie video, if not subscribe. Because here's the thing. Okay, so I got sick and tired of fake Christians. And yes, let's call them what they are. They are fake Christians because they are not actually following the teachings of Jesus Christ. This is not one of those no true Scotsman fallacies like some idiots tried to accuse me of. No, fake Christians misusing the Bible to justify their hatred of the LGBTQA plus community. The first thing I pointed out in that little 60-second rant that I did is that section of the Bible that they're taking from, with the exception of the Ten Commandments, we're not supposed to really pay attention to. And in fact, some churches actually will teach that it is wrong, that it's a sin to read the Old Testament, which is cuckoo bananas if you ask me. But with the exception of the Ten Commandments, that stuff is all thrown out because those are considered the laws of man, not the laws of God. And they use that section, and that section also says that if men are not supposed to shave, you're not supposed to wear two different fibers blended together, so no cotton poly blends, no wool cotton blends, no two fibers supposed to be weaved together. You're not supposed to eat shrimp, not supposed to eat pork, not supposed to eat dairy and meat together. Now, you put that in the context of the time period that it's from, all of that makes sense. Like, you know, you had the time from before proper cooking and proper refrigeration. You avoid a lot of food poisoning cases by not eating shellfish and not eating pork and not allowing dairy and meat to mix together. All right? Molly, please don't bark. Molly, try to make a YouTube video. That is Molly Weasley, by the way. Named from before certain things came to light. I still like Harry Potter, but I very much would like to punch Joe in the face. However, that's going to bring me to another point anyway. So, you're not supposed to pay attention to that section. And anyway, that verse, completely misinterpreted. All right? You know, it's thou shalt not lay with a man or not. Well, it's really not that. You know, it's basically saying men shouldn't sleep with men. It doesn't say anything about women sleeping with women, for one thing. And truthfully, the original verse, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically the original verse was basically saying if you are a man with an apprentice or a male servant, you know, a young boy male servant, somebody that you're teaching to have a career, you know, you say you're a carpenter or a stonemason or a blacksmith, and you have this apprentice that you're teaching, or you're a teacher in any way, you're not supposed to sleep with your students. All right. And that was actually a common thing back then. The whole reason why we have the word platonic relationship is because students were expected to sleep with their teachers as a form of payment for being taught. Well, Plato didn't like that. And he was saying teachers and students shouldn't sleep together. So so the whole thing came about because Plato thought students and teachers shouldn't be having sexual relations as a form of payment, you know. So yeah, it makes sense in the context of that time, but it doesn't make sense nowadays, and we're supposed to throw that out. And then you've got different sections of the Bible, like Jonathan and David. When you really look at the language of everything, and by the way, I was supposed to be a boy, and my parents were going to name me Jonathan David, but there were no ultrasounds back in the 70s. But Jonathan and David, they were husbands. There's no other way to put it. And then there's the Roman centurion and his slave, and this is in both Matthew and Luke. Now, the exact numbers change depending on which translation of the Bible you're looking at. They shift a little bit, but you can Google it. And for those that don't know, so the centurion, which is a type of Roman soldier, for those who don't know, came up to Jesus because this slave that he loved very, very much and was very dear to him was sick. And he was like, please, you got to heal him. And you don't even have to come to my house. You can just say the word, and obviously he'll be healed. And Jesus not only healed the slave, but he praised the centurion for his faith, and he praised him for the love that these two had. He blessed their love. And see, the slave was male, and that particular term for that slave is for a slave that was sold for the purposes of sex. So you got boyfriends being blessed by Jesus. And unfortunately, you're going to find a lot of fake Christians trying to deny this. You're going to find articles where they say, oh, no, this is not true, and blah, 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 blah. But again, here's the problem with the Bible. The Bible has been misinterpreted a lot, and a lot of times it's been misinterpreted on purpose. All right? If you go back to some of the original writings about God, granted, I can't read the original language, but I've read actual translations. God is referred to as the mother as well as the father. God is genderqueer, for a lack of a better term. So anytime God was rewarding people, that was God the mother. And anytime God was punishing people, that was God the father. The language changed depending. Or anytime God was creating, like creating the Garden of Eden, that was God the mother. Creating Adam and Eve, that was God the mother. Destroying things, and that was God the father. And I know somebody in the comments is going to bring up Sodom and Gomorrah. And let me just point out that if you read that section, even the translations, the difference is the men had a choice between women that would sleep with them consensually and forcing themselves on these strangers. All right. And we don't even know that that's really what they wanted anyway. This could be another thing of misinterpretation. But if you ask me, it's obvious that God was trying to punish them because they were rapists, because they wanted to rape. It had nothing to do with who they wanted to rape. That they could have wanted to rape Lot's daughters, and they still would have been punished this way. Okay? Because God don't like that. All right? So that was the whole thing I went off. I didn't mention Jonathan and David because you only have 60 seconds to go off of. Now, I've gotten very popular because of that video, even though the majority of my videos on TikTok are cosplay, and the majority of that are original characters. But that's what I'm known for over there right now. And I've gotten asked many questions, including, what other things do you think about the Bible? Well, I don't want to mention it there because TikTok is very bad about removing videos that, even though they don't break community guidelines, they will still say they violated community guidelines. Like, there's this very popular TikToker named Scotty Wartooth. That's his username, Scotty Wartooth. Absolutely adore the guy. He's got some of the greatest cosplays, and he cosplays Jesus. So he's known as TikTok Jesus. Or as I like to joke, he's not really, because we all know Jesus wasn't white. He is not cosplaying Jesus. He's playing Caesar Borgia, doing a bad Jesus cosplay. But that's beside the point. I just like to say that because, you do have your one or two stick in the muds who come in, oh, you're blaspheming, and it's like, no, he's not. So, oh yay, there goes a great big noisy truck. Goodbye, big noisy truck. Bye-bye. Come back. So, I lost my train of thought. And he's actually part of the reason why I'm so popular on TikTok. But he did this video where it was basically God and Gabriel talking about the fact that humans have lawns. You know, God provided dandelions and clover and stuff that could feed the bees and all the wild animals, and you can eat dandelions, so they are edible for humans, and you can make dandelion wine. Excuse me. You know, we tear it all up and we plant grass instead, and then we hire people to trim the grass, and we hire people to throw away the grass. We don't even try to compost it. And TikTok took that video down and said it violated community guidelines, and they refused to allow it to be back up. So that's why I don't really want to talk a whole bunch of religion over on TikTok. I don't even really want to talk a whole bunch of religion on here because I've already had the one issue. If you look through my videos and look for the one titled "You Can't Be Christian If You're Anti-Vax." Sorry, I'm trying to detangle something. If you look for that video, you notice I have the comments turned off, and that's because anti-vaxxer wackadoos were once again posting death threats. That's why I'm private over on Instagram, and I will not accept friend requests over on Instagram unless you have a profile that I can view. Well, the anti-vaxxers are half the reason. The other half of the reason is the perverted messages from chubby chasers. They don't understand what asexual means, and anyway. So, but I've gotten asked, and I will tell, one thing I personally believe. Okay, and I realize I'm rambling. So those of you who have seen some of my older videos will know this. Some of you who saw me mention this on TikTok will know this. On my mom's side, I am actually Jewish. That's why I wear this. Now, basically, my great-grandparents felt the need to hide the fact that they were Jewish. And this is both mom's maternal and paternal side. So both sides of her family tree on her side felt the need to hide the fact they were Jewish, and they changed their last names no less than 4 times, if not more. And then, of course, with the Pavlik side, they were changed once again at Ellis Island because some idiot decided to add a C before the K when originally there was no C before the K. Okay, so anyway. So it was basically present a Catholic face to the world, light your Shabbat candles down, or if I'm even pronouncing that right, down in the basement, to protect themselves, to keep themselves alive. So, and because I found that out, because this was the big family secret that very few people in the family were even party to anymore, which explains, which explains why, like my grandma Pavlik, when she was alive, she actually used to tell me the story of Esther whenever Purim came around, and she used to make hamanzirs, the little pastries with the fruit in them that are folded. She used to make those, and nobody else I knew did that. So, and even when I talked about it, because of course Grandma went to a Catholic church and everything, but it makes sense now because I talked to other Catholics who had no idea who Esther was, didn't know anything about Purim. They never heard it before. So it makes so much of my childhood when my grandma would come visit make much more sense now that we know this. So knowing that, I sought out a bunch of books by different rabbis. And that's how I found out that God was originally referred to as the mother as well as the father before Christians came along saying, oh, we hate women. We're going to remove all references to God as a woman and make God a man, which, again, the Bible has been mistranslated on purpose many times. So you have that. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. In Jewish law, and this is even Orthodox Jewish law, a woman is allowed to have an abortion if her life is in danger. So if she has an ectopic pregnancy or something else is going to kill her with that pregnancy, or if she's been raped, she's allowed to have an abortion. It is part of Jewish law that her life is more important, and the fetus is seen as like water. And in fact, like say the woman commits a capital crime and is given the death sentence. Now, in most jail systems and legal systems, all the woman has, she doesn't even have to prove that she's pregnant. She can just say, I'm pregnant, and get the death sentence deferred for a long time. But no, In Judaism, if the woman gets a death sentence, unless she's in the birthing chair about to give birth, they can still execute her. All right, so abortion is allowed, which is why I feel if Jesus is real, which, there is evidence that he is and there's evidence that he isn't. I'm kind of, obviously I was raised Christian, but I believe in God. I'm not so sure about a lot of other stuff. Okay. But anyway, since Jesus was first and foremost Jewish, and Jewish law allows for abortion, I'm just saying Jesus would be pro-choice. All right. Pretty obvious that Jesus would be pro-choice. So that's one thing I wanted to answer. Yeah, like I said, there's whole chapters of the Bible that have been left out because different translators decided that they were not written by God or whatever, because most people say, oh, the Bible is the direct word of God, even if it's been translated. And it's really not. Because, again, people change things. And so there's whole chapters, and you can find the chapters published. They're chapters about Jesus Christ's childhood, and they're chapters talking about him creating little birds out of clay and them coming to life and flying away, or him killing a friend of his and then resurrecting the friend. All right, so we always talk about how, there's first the last time you see Jesus in the Bible is as a child in the temple telling the rabbis all this wonderful stuff and amazing them, and then all of a sudden he's a 33-year-old man. Well, there are whole chapters about him being 12 and 13 and what have you, that the church themselves decided, no, we're not going to have that. And because the majority of Christians use the King James Bible, I'm going to point out something about that. King James was gay. King James was gay. He actually, I forgot the name of his boyfriend, but he actually officially declared his boyfriend Lord of the Bedchamber and had like a secret passage between their rooms and all this stuff. And people were very, very, very angry about this. So King James was like, how can I distract people from the fact that I like to sleep with men and I have a boyfriend who might as well be my husband? I know, I'll commission a translation of the Bible. Do you see where I'm going here with this? I think that verse that so many fake Christians use to justify their hatred was purposely mistranslated by people who were angry that King James was gay. So they're trying to say, hey, look, our king is gay, therefore he's going to hell. The Bible says so. Except they put it in a section of the Bible that we're not supposed to pay attention to anymore. And the original verse, again, if you go back to it, if you're one of those people who study dead languages, you'll find it doesn't even say that at all. It's basically saying teachers shouldn't sleep with students. That's what it really says. Which is a good rule to follow no matter what religion, if any, you believe in. So yeah, that's basically what I came on here to say. Hopefully I won't have to turn comments off on this like I did with the one about how, and I'm sorry, again, this is not a no true Scotsman fallacy, okay? Because the Bible is very clear on many of these things. You're not supposed to hate people for what they're born as, all right? You're not. You're not supposed to hate them for the color of their skin. Well, you're not supposed to hate them for their sexual orientation. You're not supposed to hate them for their gender. You're not supposed to hate them for any of that. You can hate people that choose to do evil. You can hate Hitler. You can hate the anti-vaxxers because they abuse their children. You can hate bigots. You can hate Ku Klux Klan. You can hate Nazis. You can hate Hamas. And again, you can hate anti-vaxxers, and other terrorist organizations, other hate groups. I just want to lump anti-vaxxers and Nazis and KKK and Hamas are basically all the same deep down. They're all very hateful, evil people. So it's okay for that, because that sort of thing is a choice. It's a choice to be a hateful, nasty, evil person that tries to kill people or abuses children or what have you. Being a pedophile, in my mind, is a choice because no one is naturally attracted to children. No one. What you are attracted to, if anything, is the power you have over children, and you are choosing that. People can say it's a mental illness all they want. No, it's a choice. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Nobody would pedophiles will never be part of the LGBTQA plus community. We reject you. We reject you. You are evil. You are hurting children. And that is wrong. Hurting children is wrong. Period. End of discussion there. And that is a choice that you guys make. So choose somebody who chooses to be evil. Okay, that's okay. But you can't hate people over something that they have no choice over. Like people who hate people that are disabled. Nobody chooses to be disabled. All right. And the next time you say somebody who's disabled, like my mom deserves to die, don't be surprised if I just absolutely lose it and punch you in the face. Okay. That being said, people can choose to change. And that's why when I was talking about J.K. Rowling, Joe, that's one thing I have hopes for her, because I've changed. Everybody has a problematic past. Everybody has a lot of brainwashing and conditioning that they have to get over. And I was never raised to be racist. In fact, I was told racists go to hell. And I still believe that. I still believe that if there is an afterlife, racists are going to be punished in it because they choose to be evil, right? But I was raised to believe, being gay is wrong, and blah 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 blah, and abortion is wrong. And no, I've changed over the years. There was a time when I admit that I was not that big of a believer in climate change because of how I was raised, and that had nothing to do with religion. Actually, I had amongst other things a teacher, my sixth grade teacher, who was a very evil woman herself, who used to drill into us, the earth is getting colder because of global cooling, global cooling, global cooling. We're all going to die because of global cooling. So, you had global cooling drilled into your brain for years. And then all of a sudden it was global warming. And then all of a sudden it was climate change. So, I admit at one time I was a denier, but I've grown and I've changed, and I admit climate change is real. Okay. Other things I should point out, because I am bothered by the people who keep saying that I'm a queen and that they stand me and that I need to be protected. And I'm not perfect, okay? Something, if you're watching this video, you need to know. At 19, I had a boyfriend who was older than me. He was 25. And he'll try to deny this if he's even still alive. But he abused me. He would throw me into walls. He would threaten me. He would, put his fist right here while pinning me against the wall and threaten me. And he happened to be an atheist. And he also happened to be a huge Star Wars fan. And I'm just this 19-year-old girl, right? And he would start going off about religion. And I would say very gently, please stop. I believe in God. It bothers me when you go off like this. And the next thing I know, I'd be thrown into a wall. And him doing this to me and my head slamming back against the wall and stuff like that. And sometimes he would go off about how he hates Star Trek and Star Trek is stupid and nobody should like Star Trek. And I'd say, please stop. I like Star Trek. Star Wars is fine, but I like Star Trek too. And again, he would go off on me. And so sometimes even to this day, because remember, I'm 43 now, so a lot of time has passed since that happened. But there's still times to this day where if somebody says something very similar or in a similar tone to what he would say before this would happen, I kind of flip. I try to control it, but I can't always control it. And it's almost like if that scared little 19-year-old girl is finally lashing out and protecting herself. And I want people to know that unfortunately happens. I suppose that's what you call a trigger. It took me a long time to be able to ever watch Star Wars again, and I'm getting better. I am getting better on this, but there are times when somebody will say something that just triggers me and I just lose it. And I realize that a lot of people think that makes me a horrible person, but I want them to understand that this is something that sometimes is beyond my control because I flash back to him. I'm flashing back to him when I lash out like that. You know, I'm once again scared and terrified and cowering. This is already over, according to my computer, this is already over 25 minutes, and I didn't mean to make it this long. But I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I'm home alone. Now, what I said about being brainwashed, I do love my parents very much. I love my parents very much. There's a lot of things that they've supported me on. I would have never gotten out of that relationship if not for my mom, because my mom's first husband was an abuser too. So she recognized the signs. She got me out of it. And they were there for me when the doctors were refusing to give me a hysterectomy for my severe anemia because all women want babies and you need to have children first. And they didn't listen to me when I said, I don't want kids and I don't want to get married. So I want people to know that my parents are very supportive and loving in many ways. But, what can you do? But I do love my parents. And like I said, I don't want to get into religion too much on TikTok because of what TikTok is like with certain things. And unfortunately, who knows, with YouTube, I might have somebody get offended with me saying that Jesus Christ would most likely be pro-choice. I really believe Jesus Christ would be pro-choice. As for religion in general, I'm not one of those, there's only one true religion types. I believe there are many paths to the same destination. That's not to say that all religions are real, because I do believe like Scientology is a bunch of crap. All right. But like if you are pagan, Wiccan, if you practice, what is the proper name for voodoo, by the way? If you practice any of that, if you are an atheist, if you are Hindu, if you are Buddhist, it doesn't matter to me. Muslim, it doesn't really matter, because I think we all are on the same path, just different. Well, we all ultimately are going to the same destination. We just have different roads, and I firmly believe that education, hatred is born of ignorance, and ignorance is cured by education. So if you are pagan, Wiccan, practitioner of voodoo, a Muslim, whatever religion you are, teach me, okay? You don't have to teach me all your secrets. I'm not asking you to teach me all your secrets and things that are held dear that outsiders are not supposed to know. I'm asking you to teach me things that Hollywood gets wrong. Let's put it that way. Teach me things that Hollywood gets wrong, so I can eliminate my ignorance on those subjects and continue growing as a person. So I'm completely serious about that. I don't know what else to say, because this is already a half-hour long video, and I mainly made this, like I said, for my followers on TikTok who keep asking me different religious questions. As far as the exact verses of the centurion and the slave, like I said, it's in Matthew and Luke, but the numbers differ. You can Google it. You will find articles that claim different from what I've said, but you'll also find just as many, if not more, articles that say exactly what I said, that Jesus Christ blessed a gay couple in the Bible. And, if anybody who's going to try to pull that no true Scotsman fallacy on me, look, Jesus Christ said, love thy neighbor. He didn't say love thy neighbor with these exceptions, okay? And think about something. We're talking about a guy who spent 3 days sitting down, braiding a whip, and then used it on a bunch of money changers and merchants that had taken over the temple and turned it from a holy temple into a temple of greed. If he is willing to take a whip to a bunch of people like that, what is he going to do to people who say, oh, well, I love my neighbor, but I hate them because they're the wrong skin color, or they're the wrong sexuality, or they're just wrong, and therefore I might love them, but I hate them because God tells me to. And Jesus would be like, God didn't say that, and neither did I. Crack! Think about it.